Welcome to the Griffin publication and the Global Eye once again, and wish you all a happy International Books Day. Today we are here with eminent personalities. I would rather call you all authors because you all have authored books. You all are thought leaders, but today I will address you all as my, precious authors. So today we would discuss on ink, ideas, impact, the enduring power of books in a digital world, because we are marking World Book Day today. It was yesterday, but we are celebrating today. And we all know that in an age of screening, scrolling, and shrinking attention spans, we pause to ask: do books still shape the way we think, feel, and understand the world, or are they quietly being rewritten by the digital tide? So let's talk the worth, the value of books in this digital world. And I welcome you all, dear authors. I would begin this discussion with Surendra Das sir. You are an author of 6 books. You are a thought leader. And you are still writing. And today, when we see the present generation today, or we see the present days today, this is a digital world. So do you think books still shape society the way they once did? Or has their influence somehow evolved? How would you put forth this?
That's a very important question concerning with all of us, the old generation and the present generation. See, with the advancement in the technology and the emergence of the AI, we find that the population of the readers has shrunk to a great extent. They are in the minority as far as the Indian scenario and the scenario of the other country is concerned. There are no exceptions. Now, I'll just tell you a very small incident that my latest book, which was published last year, was The Mind of God Revealed, one of the very philosophical, thought-provoking book. And the concept was leading. I talked to one of my director where I was heading one of the institution that, sir, please buy this book for your library. And what was the reply? Is a reputed English medium school, fully air conditioned, elite students come over there. His answer was, Dr. Das, I can buy for my library 10 copies, but who will read? The question is who will read? I have worked as more than 25 years as a principal of the prestigious schools. I noticed the trend in the past 20 years that even teachers don't read. Being the head of the institution, I made it mandatory that every teacher will read minimum 5 books in a month. That was mandatory. And then I used to get a report from the librarian, and then they say sometimes somebody takes 1 book, sometimes somebody takes 2. When things are made mandatory, the education fraternity is reluctant to read. Then who is reading? Are the students reading? Now we know that this is a trend of the reels. Everybody is making reels. Urban areas, rural areas, semi-urbans, irrespective of the age group. So this is a very serious question. I think that as I started with the population of reader is minority at the verge of extinction, because whether you talk e-books, okay, or you talk the hard copies, the readers, the population of the readers is reducing for the obvious reason. This is all I want to share, and I'll join when you ask me the second question.
Thank you so much. Actually, indeed, this is a serious concern, because if we see the readers are decreasing, somewhere we find the books losing the real worth. But what we do with the creative skill of the writers, they keep writing. Barbara, ma'am, you are joining from the US. You are an author and you are also a script writer. You are a poetess. But again, here, at this age also, your next book is also going to be launched very soon. At this age, you are still, reading, you are still writing. But are we somehow witnessing a decline in deep reading or just a shift in how and what we read?
Okay, thank you, first of all, for inviting me, Sami, and hello to all of you authors here. I would say that I belong to a book club, and we meet once a month, and we read books that we decide on. My book club started out with maybe 6, 7 people, maybe 6. Now we have 10, okay? And it keeps getting larger each week. So I think people of a certain age are reading, older people are reading, okay? Younger children are reading, teenagers are reading, but it all depends on what they read. And they are very particular. And I know because my book is a YA, and it's hard selling it, really. I mean, I was trying this weekend, and it's very difficult to, even with a great cover, it just did not sell to these kids, a couple of kids. So I think that reading today has to have a purpose for people. They're reading for a purpose. Some of them are reading in ways that are unusual, like my daughter, for instance. She's reading by audiobooks. She's really enjoying listening to audiobooks and getting a lot out of them. And I think I personally like doing both reading paperbacks and also ebooks. And I think a lot of people are reading. They're reading on their phones. They're reading things on Facebook. They're reading. They're just not reading a lot at once. People are reading in spurts, not, you know, all day long or a couple of hours at a time. Even myself, I can only read like a chapter or two at a time. And I'm reading a really good book, Theo of Golden, and it's a really, really good book, but I still can't read more than a chapter or two at a time. And I think it's because of our lifestyle. We just have so much to do that we can't fit reading into our schedule like we once could. And so, even though I am retired and don't do much, I still do a lot, and and I can't fit reading into my day like I used to. So I think that it's a matter of people wanting to read, but not finding the way to read. You need to have a way to read. If you're driving, you can't read. You can listen to an audiobook, so that is reading. So maybe that we could consider reading, but I think deep reading requires you to have a lot of time to think about your reading. It's more like college level reading, and that requires a lot of time.
Rupesh, just now Barbara ma'am said that, reading requires time. All right. And Surendra sir said that, there is a decline in readers because people are into making reels. Do you think there is a difference? There's a question out of the syllabus. Do you think like there's a difference uh, in the scenario of India and the US where, in the other countries we see huge number of readers. They have got, reading clubs and all. As Barbara ma'am just said, she has set up a club, and there are readers coming, and young and old, they are buying books. Whereas if we see our students, Surendra Das sir just said, a school principal or a school head says, I won't buy the book because who will read? So, what do you have to say here? And then I would again add on to the question: what role should schools and families, and communities play in rebuilding a strong reading culture?
Mostly, thank you for inviting me. I will start with 23rd of April, right? we remember William Shakespeare, right? So Barbara ma'am has rightly said that reading gives you like you need deep thinking. Fair enough. Sir already said that in today's world, what who is going to read, right? The thing is, everybody wants to read, but the difference is medium, right? That accessibility. Today is a digital world. So in your hand, if there is a mobile, you have like entire library, and whoever wants to read, they can read, right? Now the second thing is coming, like what is the difference between that paperback and that digital thing? Because this is a debate, right? So when we start reading with paperback, it will give you like you need time to read that paperback, and then it imbibed you in like one traits that I can say like patience is going to develop when you read through paperback. This is my experience. Again, Barbara ma'am can give me more insight on this, because see, whatever I'm reading, I want to read, and then I want to give time, and then I start thinking. So that imagination, when you read, then it gives you that to think that what you are going to read, came from paperback. But again, in today's world, we can't ignore that within 30 seconds, if you want to scroll and go through all the reels, and if you want to know entire knowledge, then again the time they don't have. In today's generation, they don't have time. So we have to tell them what is the difference. This type of whatever you are doing, the initiatives, this type of initiatives should we go to the students also, the young generations also. Like,
Well,
okay, you have accessibility, but there is something which you need to think, because as George Orwell rightly said, that books are the mirror of the society. So if you want to make that society, then you have to tell them what is right, what is wrong, and again you have to cope with present time. This is my take.
Thank
I
you so much, Rupesh. We have young author Tevisha with us. Tevisha,
I would
uh,
like to hear from the young author about
you
this.
are the author of two books. Your next book is going to be launched very soon, maybe next week or this week itself. But your book was a hot case. It was like selling like anything else. I think first week we sold 300 copies. But when you see the young generation of like children of your age, students of your age today, do you feel that there is a decline in reading? Do you feel them reading the book, or they're interested in reading books or writing?
Thank you, Mashmi Auntie, for inviting me here. And for your question, I think that I am surrounded by a lot of people who like reading, but what people prefer to read has had a drastic shift. Like classic literature, old books with a lot of deep sentiments. People don't seem to be very interested in work like that anymore. People are shifting more towards more contemporary works, more light reading. And I think it has to do with the fact that it's easier to read things that don't are not as thought provoking when you don't have as much time. So you're reading for an escape or for leisure. But I think that reading itself is not something that is lost on our generation. We do like reading a lot. Maybe we do read differently. A lot of us read more digital than paperbacks or hardcovers. We do read more online and articles online. I think classic books are something that are my generation. I know a lot of people who do like reading classic literature, but I know way more that don't. And I think that even though reading is still persisting, literature, like the pure art of literature, that is being lost in our generation.
So
That's really wonderful to hear her say that, because you're a young adult, right? I have no idea what age you are, but um, you're my age group, probably, right? She's in my age group, and it's nice to hear that. And I have heard from people who've read my books, which start a mature 8-year-old could read my book, but they have to be very mature to understand. So I would say 11, 12-year-olds like to read my book all the way up through. And so I think that that age really loves reading my books and has told me so. So,
Find a difference. Here we
yeah,
have Gen Z here, Tivisha is sitting here and she's saying, I know people who love to read books. Surendra sir. So,
yeah.
somewhere do you find a difference, what the present generation an author, a young author says, no, I know people who read books, but how and what? So, somewhere also we find, people losing the taste of literature. So, what role, as you said, schools, they are not buying books for the library because they're like, apprehensive and they're thinking like, who will read books? They see the librarians must have seen that the children are not reading books. So, what role should schools, families, and communities, as Barbara ma'am said, she has her own community, play in rebuilding a strong reading culture? As we are celebrating international book day, we need to come to a solution. How do we rebuild a strong reading culture?
I get your question very well. See, there are two things. Number one, this particular program is not a debate. It is that you are asking the authors to express their views. Expression of view is one thing, reality on the ground is another thing. So let me be please very particular what I am speaking it about. I have worked almost all over the India, in the northeast, including Delhi, including southern parts of the country. I was heading as a president of Indian Forum of Educators, 5,000 principals. Are you getting it? So my opinion is not my opinion. I'm reflecting the reality of the Indian society. And we are dealing with the students. We are dealing with the kindergarten students, primary and senior secondary. So when we had the discussion, every principal faced a problem how to develop reading habits. Number of workshops we organize all over the country. I'm talking in context with India. And every principal, every teacher has this issue that the students don't read. I'm not talking about whether it is a non-fiction or fiction. Definitely, when we talk in terms of the literature, we definitely like the children should go through number of stories. Especially, we have got as far as the Indian culture is concerned. You know, there are Jatak tales are there. There are Panchtantra tales also. So we have brought all those materials in the library, encourage the students, awarded them, give, or we have taken all. I'm talking it about the past 20, 25 years. That was the scenario 20 years before. Now we have seen everybody is glued to mobile. Everybody is glued to the screen addiction is there. So everybody like to see reels, YouTube, and Facebook, and then Instagram. Every age is crazy after making reels, expressing. And the worst part, on social media, everybody has become a coach, everybody has become guide, everybody has become trainer, and this is all going on. So if you take up, and moreover, I'm also the founder president of Global Wellness Forum, where 130 countries members are there. Since I'm been working in the field of wellness, we have been organizing global wellness summits. So as far as the mindset of American, the Europeans, let me tell you, my the upcoming book is written by a wellness coach from Nether, Bialata Suchokawa. Another book which is coming, she is the co-founder of my organization, Sarah Hart. She's from Los Angeles, California. So all over the situation, higher education perspective and the school education perspective, this is going to be a concern. Now we come to the main question as an educator. Finally, basically, I'm an educator. I'll give you example from my family. I have two granddaughters. The elder girl is 12 years and the second granddaughter is 5 years. I have taken, my daughters have taken care because they have grown with me. The kind of reading and writing, that kind of a culture they have got, that imprint and the impression they have got. My 5 year granddaughter loves books. You can't imagine that number of books we have given. She will like to listen to stories. She will like to tell you. And books means she is having the fully condition. My elder, the granddaughter, she's 12 years. I started a program through her only that is called, Barbara will agree with me, Micro Tales. It is a 3 sentence or 4 sentence story, Micro Tales, very popular in America in some of the schools. So that she started in
What
a
is the
3 to 4 sentence.
again, the name?
I beg your
Michael,
pardon.
what is the name of the author?
My, I'm talking about micro tales means you can four sentences stories, 3 sentences stories.
Flash
And
Okay.
fiction.
this trend has come up in mostly in European and the Western country. So who takes the responsibility when we are giving a mobile phone at the age of 3 years to the child, so the child doesn't cry? Okay, 2 years child is having the games, the cartoons. Who's to be responsible? The the value system comes from the family first. It is the parents' responsibility. Number of workshops should be organized for the parents. The ill effects of the screen addiction, and I must appreciate Netherlands, the Finland, the Norway, and very other countries who have really have banned the use of the mobile phones, and they are pressurizing. The advanced country, the developed countries have realized the ill effects, and they are taking initiative that go back to the past, start writing, crafting, and reading. So these are the concrete steps. The family first, school second. I think parents and the schools, if they take up the responsibility, they have the culture of reading. And definitely literature everywhere, in every country, there is a rich literature, whether it is a Japanese, it is Chinese, it is English, or any kind of language. And we all together as a authors, we can see the mindset of the readers, whether it is they are teenagers, they are adult, or they are senior citizen, what kind of content these young generation is liking, and definitely authors can contribute accordingly. Thank you.
Oh, it's a
Um,
great program, really. Yeah.
And
I
Barbara ma'am, as Barbara ma'am's question is for you. You
Yes,
said young,
yes.
yeah, you said young readers are also buying your books, but it is specifically your book. Now, if in the US, if you see the entire generation, do you see the young lot uh, actually, glued to books, loving books? Do you see them attending book fairs or book reading sessions? Do you find the generation inclined toward books?
Okay, so I've been I've been selling my books at book fairs. They don't do that well because not a lot of that age group comes to the book fairs, but I'm hoping I'm going to another one soon where there will be a lot of people who will be that age group. But when they do buy the book, I get the feedback that not only did they love it, but they wanted their parent to come. Like one of them at one of the book fairs, a parent came to me and said, my daughter made me make sure that I came because she knew I was coming to this fair and told you how much she loved the book. So when they buy the book and they read it, they love it. And I have seen a girl take my book. She just was bored and she took my book and she started reading and did not stop. So I know that children, older children even, will read my books. And I think that reading, in a sense, is something that kids want to do. And they really show that in many, many ways. I mean, I've been to libraries where kids come in really excited to buy books, to get books. You don't buy them in the library, you get them. And I've been to libraries where it's packed with cars. People are there in the library doing research and reading books and looking at books. And there are lots of bestsellers in America. And people are reading a lot more, I feel now, than they have in the past. And probably it came from during the pandemic when people started reading again. And when we started the book club, which is now, I mean, years old, I hadn't really been reading. But now this teaches me to read at least a book a month. And having that, the book club there makes me read a book a month. And I've read many, many books. So I feel that maybe an incentive for reading is what people need these days. Because the incentive for me is to get to my book club and talk about my book and how I felt about it, And so the incentive for kids might be I know that kids love fantasy, but the kids that read my book told me that they loved it because it was reality. And so maybe finding books that aren't quite what they are used to reading, making them think a little more about the book, might be an answer. And librarians are very helpful in that way too. And teachers are too. And I noticed that just recently I saw that authors went to a school and they did a whole day with kindergartners. They were children's writers. And I imagine they sold their books. And they also did a whole day with kindergartners, which probably meant they did some writing, they did some reading things with them. So doing activities with kids to get them interested in books is another great way to do that, to
Thank
get
you
kids.
so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. We are running out of time. Yes, Tivisha, uh, how did you feel when you came to know that you are a bestseller? All right. And if I ask you, how would you inculcate or how would you encourage your friends, rather, not in, how would you encourage your friends to bring them toward writing and reading? What steps, as a friend, just now Barbara ma'am said, so little activities, authors could go to the school, do some activities, reading sessions. So as a young author, first of all, how did you feel being the best-selling author? And what role can you play to bring your generation toward reading? Yes.
I was absolutely thrilled when I found out that my book was selling. And it was my first book, and it was the first piece of writing that I'd actually put out there that people had read. And it felt like exposing a part of myself. And when the book sold, it felt like I was seen and people understood my thought process and my mindset, which really made me extremely ecstatic about the whole thing. And as for encouraging my peers to read, I think, or write, I think it is imbibed in us. We like to read, we like to create art. The only thing is, we need a push, we need a platform, which is why, and our education system, especially in the last 4 years of high school, it's extremely hard, it's extremely cutthroat, and it's very challenging and demanding. And it's very difficult to find platforms that are provided by our schools, or it's very difficult to even find time, which is why what I've done to sort of encourage my peers into writing is that I've recently started an online magazine called Anaphora, where writers across the world, across ages, especially of my age group, can come and they can write about anything they want. It's the whole concept or the whole premise of the magazine is people who want to express themselves, we are giving them a platform. You can write about politics, you can write about literature, you can write about economics. As long as you're saying something and you have something that you want to convey to the world, we will provide you a platform. And every month we will release your pieces, and we try to promote them amongst readers across age groups. So I think that right now the only problem that young readers and writers are facing is a lack of a platform or that push. We also do this thing where we put book reviews, which everyone thinks the books are very time consuming and they won't find they won't want to read a book unless they know for sure that they're going to like it, which is why through book reviews we can push people towards reading a little more, because when you read a book review you feel like I might like this book, and then you actually take it up. And once you read one book, it's like you continue reading. Once you start, you don't stop. You That book leads you to another and then another, and then you create a whole universe in your head, which is what I think what young readers and writers really require is a proper platform to be seen.
So yeah, indeed, a proper platform. We will work onto it. Yes, Rupesh, can emerging formats like audiobooks or AI generated books or AI generated content rather, coexist with traditional literature? Because nowadays we find almost all the books are AI generated books. What do you have to say here? Can
See,
they
AI is
coexist?
today's reality, right? You can't ignore it. And what AI is giving is like whatever is present in the platform, they just collect and they are going to give you. Now it depends on the people who is going to use it, like that prompt, what prompt he is going to use. So through that, he is going to find out whatever he wants to give to us or he wants to write. Then again, if I'm listening all of like esteemed members, and I know like if all know that how we are going to fight these all problems. They have solutions. Sir has rightly said that family system we need to. Barbara ma'am said that interest and all, right. And again, today, like if I want to ask, there is one confusion on this. There is a difference between literature and storytelling, right? Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
literature, not everybody is going to like it right now in today's generation. I'm just talking about today's generation, but they
Yes.
have to read, because if they want to know more about their culture, their writing habits, whatever. If they want to go in deep, they have to read that literature. But that literature needs time. That literature needs patience, right? So that like Tivisha said, like. She said that her friends knows what she wrote, her friends that was instinct with her friend's mind. But I want this thing to be the reverse. What I am going to write, I have to know what today's generation wants to read. I have to sync with that. Then only they can come and they will read. And then we have to tell them, okay, fine, everybody has their own stories. Today, if there is 8 billion people, they have their own story. But the difference is how to tell. That is storytelling is the difference. Maybe Barbara ma'am's style is different, your style is different, Trivisha's style is different, Sir's style is different, my style is different.
Oh,
So
yeah.
which style going to like suit today's generation? We have to find it out. And again, we can't ignore that digital revolution, because for my I can say that my closing statement should be like books. If books can be root, then these digital platforms this should be like their own arms. Through that they can reach people.
Yeah. I agree.
We will come to the last question, and this question is for all of you. Please keep it short. Surendra Das sir, author of 6 books, thought leader, founder of so many organizations, leading so many talk shows. What do you think? What will the book look like 20 years from now?
Yeah, it's a very challenging question. Uh, Now, your question is not related to only the books. What will be the world after 20, 30, or 40 years? It is going to be altogether a different world where AI is going to play a very, very important role. Very important role. Now, so the technology, I'm coming to the point that the technology's advancement is played a significant role and it is going to play a significant role. One thing is very common that as far as the visual inputs, children, adult, and senior citizen, everybody like the visual inputs. So it's very, very difficult to say that the audio books will survive or the paperback book will survive, or there will be a new kind of a format may come up, which will be more visual than having the content in the script in the word forms. So there will be more visual. As I say, now you see the whole world is captured by the videos, the reels, and this has taken over uh, the entire world I'm talking about. So see the visual appeal, the visual impact. So in my opinion, that the technology is going to play a vital role, and there may be more visual elements. Uh, the video books, I should say, not audio books. There may be the video book. This is what I feel.
Barbara ma'am, how do you see the world after 20 years? How would book look like 20 years from now? Would there be papers? People will be flipping the pages. What do you think?
I love his idea of a video book because that is so cool. Because, you have the book and you have the images. However, in reading a book, the whole idea of reading print is that your mind is making up the images. And so that is the whole idea and the excitement of reading, because the author puts the words on the page and the reader takes those words and moves it into their own head. And then in their head, they've added their own experiences to this reading experience so that their ideas have mixed with the author's ideas and become something new. And it's this something new that readers should get from your book. Not just what you've put on the page, but what you've made them think about. I mean, how many times have you seen in a review, and I've seen it in my own reviews, that people are going back to their own experiences that you have reminded them of? And so they have taken those experiences, they've added it to your story, and then they've enriched your story with their experiences. So I think that the book is going to stay as it is because many, many people have told me that they love the print book, even though people like the ebook and the audiobook, they go back to the print book. They like the paperback. They like the feel of a book. They like turning the pages. So I think that these books are going to stay and that we're going to have also the addition of everything else, including maybe that video book. And also, people will read audiobooks and ebooks. And I know myself, I read ebooks because sometimes they're cheaper to buy than the paperback. And I find them more compatible with my lifestyle at certain points because I can read on my iPad. But I also like the print book. And I know that kids your age love the print book, but they also read on their tablets and they also read with audiobooks. So I really feel that compatibility and the way that lifestyles are going to be evolving will be what decides what a book is. And I really think printing is going to be still here in 20 years.
Oh, man, we know that.
Barbara, just one input, Barbara, for you. I'll tell you the experience of the book fair in India, book fairs. I'm giving you the input of 5 book fairs. When we got the feedback from those people, there were more authors in the book fair than the readers. This is the reality. And
Oh,
even you
yes.
know that you have to pay a huge amount for your book publication, for publicity. Now the publishers are asking 2.5 lakh rupees, 3 lakh, minimum 50,000 rupees to publish. So who is the author? Author is no entity. You spend money, do the advertisement, then you will be recognized, then your book. And this is the reality of the 5 World Book Fair in India, in different places in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Jaipur, and other so. So this is one thing which I just wanted to bring to your notice. More authors are there than the readers in the book fairs.
I know.
Uh,
I've seen that at book festivals. Yeah, I know. I know that.
we
But
are
the
again
readers
running
to
out of
come
time.
really want to read.
We'll just cut short because our time limit for our program is just 25 minutes. Rupesh, I will end with Tivisha. Rupesh sir said there are more authors than readers. So,
That's right.
looking at this scenario, how do you see the world with books after 20 years?
See, here I have a difference of opinion, right? If you are not a reader, you can't be an author. Okay? So you have to go there. And book fairs and other things are just a medium where you come and meet people, networking. What is happening, you can't, I sit here and I can't think if दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है. If I went there, and then I have to find out. So that's the medium which gives us to meet people, to fellow authors, something like that. This thing. And again, like, uh, what was your question? Just tell me.
20 साल बाद आप दुनिया को कैसे देख रहे हो सर
So
with books?
again, I can answer it with you. Today we have William Shakespeare's book. We don't want, that book is there, right?
Right.
Leo Tolstoy, we are reading that, right? So after 20 years, maybe some different people, but these guys, our Rabindranath Tagore, everything was there. So today you have the answer, right? We have mobiles, we have digital things, but we have paperback. So आगे जाके, if I feel that like health hazards is also going to come, I'm going to, in front of iPad or something like that, my eyes are going to be, that negative impact is going to be happen. Then what will we do? We'll start doing that traditional things. Today again, in our, daily routine, we are organic foods are there, right? Earlier, what was there? That we
Right.
removed all these things. We went to the burgers, pizza, and now again organic foods, right? Same
Rightly
thing going to
rightly put
happen.
forth. Rightly
Same
put
thing.
forth because if we see our lifestyle, today again we are reviewing our life and we are going back to yoga. We are going back to food, organic food and all. Maybe yes, it's rightly put. We will go back to print and we will just we will be tired of digital things. Maybe
We are, we
going.
are not going to.
Tivisha would be there. Tivisha
We are not.
after 20 years. Yes.
Mosmi, we are not going to away from that print. That print is always going to be with us.
Of course, of course. Tivisha, 20 years after you would still be young. Definitely, we would be older and maybe no more, but you will be there to see the change. So, how do you see the world after 20 years with books?
I would have to say that I completely agree with Miss Barbara in a sense that even while literature has moved from something mainstream to niche, books are still very alive and readers, they video books are essentially web series. They are completely different from books. But when we look at books, the whole point of reading is that it's open to interpretation. We all look at different works and we all think different things. That's not going to happen with so called video books. That's why I think that books are going to remain the same. And like Mr. Rupesh said, we're going to turn back to print because while we still do indulge in digital reading, it doesn't have that same satisfaction, that same warmth as traditional reading has.
Wonderful. So, as we conclude,
One last thing, let us not ignore one thing. As I say right from the beginning, that we are all expressing our views and the ground reality. Now find out, this is my humble suggestion to all those who are joining this one, find it out the rapid growth of the OTT subscribers in the world. OTT subscribers, they were in millions. Within 10 years, they become billions, and now they have become trillions. On the contrary, if you find it out, the number of books published in the world, take aesthetics, not by the personal opinions. Take the aesthetics. Number of books published in the world, number of books are sold in the world, number of them. So visual content, the future belongs to the visual content, and we have seen the drastic change in the past 15 to 20 years in the India. Mahabharata and Ramayana, who was reading? Which child, which family member? The moment they become the serials, the Ramayana became a talk of the town. The Mahabharata became. So visual content, the impact, the brain is directly connected with that. There may be audio personality and visual personality, audio, but this is what. So let us not ignore this reality also, which we are finding OTT, which we are. There are more than 35
Barabar.
leading OTTs in the world today. People are watching on Netflix and Z, so many things. I think Mosmi
Yes.
knows much better than what are those
Excuse
things.
me, sir. Could you tell me what that is? OCT.
That's an
OTT.
online platform, ma'am. For movies, we'll come to that. We will discuss, have another discussion on
Mostly,
that. Yes, Rupesh.
If I may,
sir has told that OTT, like millions of people are going to watch OTT, but who is going to write?
Billions, Rupesh ji, billions.
Who is going to write? So we need writers for that, right?
Right.
Mr.
Yeah, now
Theatre,
that
So we
you
have
have
that business
you
plan.
have Chat GTP, you have
So
Gemini,
that
you
is
have so many
Oh,
again
you
the
mean
AI
like
people are there.
you
You
mean
know,
like AI books? You mean like people who have written
we all
AI
need
books?
writers
Oh,
for
well,
that. So we
don't
need
get me
good writers.
started on AI because I am not a fan of AI at all.
That's
So,
I would agree. Also, I would like to say that, like, many people are going on to OTT, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to leave books behind. Two people can like coffee and tea at the same time. OTT is just a different means of expression, but that doesn't mean we leave books behind. OTT is just for
Revisha,
people who don't have time.
Revisha, again on OTT, whatever they are going to produce, some writer is there. So you
Yeah,
need writer.
I
So they,
completely agree.
so you have that business opportunity. Once you save people, if you write, you can earn. Then people will come and write. More author
can
will
I
come.
tell can I tell you those books may look like books, but when you start reading them, there's something missing. It's like, a good meal that's missing its seasoning. It just doesn't have the kind of writing that you want to keep reading. You may read it. It's okay. They describe a lot of stuff, but they are not getting to the meat of the story. And
That
so a lot
emotion,
of people,
emotion,
a lot of
I,
emotion
people
is
do
not
not
coming out.
like reading AI. No.
Okay.
AI books are not going to be
Respecting
books.
all your views. Respecting all your views, one thing is very, very clear. Formats may change. Platforms may also change, but the power of ideas, they will remain. They will evolve. And ideas remain timeless. So books are not just pages, they are perspectives. They are provocations and possibilities. So we cannot say no to books. And the question is not whether book will survive, but whether we will continue to engage with them deeply enough to shape a better future. So let's hope we build a culture of reading and writing and together build a beautiful society. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining the Global Eye and Griffin Publication. Thank you very much.